Or is it just building it out to a way that you think curves, I guess, the best fit?
Yeah. Well, I don't want there to be a mistake about it. We want to go into every game with the intent to win basketball. And the young guys, they're going to have ups and downs, just the nature of being young. And as they're developing and as they're growing in their skill set, it's always about surrounding them with good vets and with good basketball, frankly. Right? They need to grow up in a competitive environment. And at the end of the day, although we do have a really good young core, it's not just about them. It's never just about one player or two or three or four. It's about building a team that complements each other and everyone knows and embraces and accepts their role with the ultimate goal of every game winning that basketball game. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. If you do, great, what did you learn? If you don't, great, what did you learn? It's part of the evolving process. That's the mindset.
Hey Landry, I hear you, we hear you talking about things like Hawks DNA, character elements. I can guess why you would want to bring in people of that caliber, but in your words, why is that so important to bring in those kind of people into this specific organization?
This business is hard, and there's a lot of things that you can move the needle on, and there's a lot of things that it's really hard to move the needle on. And for our group, it's about focusing on things that we can control, and things that we can't, or the things that are really challenging to move the needle on, you want to bring in guys that you don't necessarily have to worry about that. And I think for us, if where we want to get to is to sit here and say we're championship caliber, it's going to embody a lot of the elements of the characteristics that I've mentioned, right? Like, you're going to have to compete, you're going to have to work, you got to have a growth mindset, there's a grittiness that you're going to have, and a level of humility to understand that when things don't go your way or you're in a role that you may not like or enjoy, can you embrace that, because it's bigger than just you. And if you can find guys that buy into that, when we go through slumps like that we have, that makes it not easier, but you look across the table, you look across the locker room, and you say, like, not only can I win with that guy, but I can lose with him too. That's really important for us. And every season's gonna have ups and downs, and so I wanna make sure that we're building out a team that, regardless of highs and lows, like, they still stay together. Because when it starts to go like this, championship caliber was up there.
Not a trade deadline question, but coaches always talked about progress not being linear or development not being linear. I'm curious what you've seen from Zachary this season that's pleased you, that you want him to continue working on, and just how that development has been unfolding for him.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with Coach on that one, and we're totally aligned there. It is never linear. A lot of times it almost looks like you're going backwards, but for Zach in particular, I keep coming back to 19. Maybe I'm biased, but my 19-year-old self couldn't do the things that he could do or handle the things that I'm watching him handle at this stage and being a number one overall pick. And so watching how he's grown throughout this season, it's less about, like, oh, did you look great in the box score, and more about, hey, you didn't shoot it well, what's your response? I'm more interested in that, because if you can get that right at his age, imagine him at 21, 22, 23, or when he's entering in his prime of 25, 26. I'm after that, and that's where the excitement lies. So kind of goes back into the previous question, right? Like, take care of that stuff up front, the back end looks really fun.
Landry, just on that point as well, Dyson Daniels has had a breakout season at both ends, but most notably on the defensive end. When you made that trade, to where you are now with him, I mean, did you imagine he was going to have this much of an impact on both ends of the floor?
Well, you're always hopeful. You never know when it occurs and when players just blossom, but you're always hopeful. But what he's doing are things that you can identify in others only so far, right? Because context matters. And with Dyson and how he's grown throughout this season, I mean, it's really fun to watch. But if you see him on the day-to-day and you watch how he approaches his craft, he loves his craft. Like, I say that all the time, like, Hawks players and staff members, like, we love our craft. So to see it out there, it's not a surprise once you get to know him and watch how he operates day in and day out. You couldn't really see that before because I didn't work in New Orleans. I wasn't with him at that point. but from what you could tell what he was doing on the court and the things that you learn about players behind the scenes, you're hopeful, you're never sure. But he's a guy that, when I say Hawks DNA, he embodies that.
I know obviously the intent is to always go out there and win the games, but how do you prevent players and maybe even fans from getting frustrated during the slumps or maybe this building time that you're trying to build a championship team?
I don't think you can prevent that. I think that what you can do is you can identify what people do and how they operate when that happens. That's the difference to me. There's things you can control and things you can't control. I mean, we're all sitting in here and we've had some really hard times in our life. I would imagine, we're human. But what did you learn in that particular period of time? How did you become more of who you are? And ultimately, how did that set you up for when you're gonna do it again? Because it will happen again. It's the reality we live in. What's your response? So character to me is about who you are under pressure. And that's pressure. When there's frustration, I wanna know what you're gonna do in that moment. And it's okay, like you can be emotional. I expect that because you care, all of our guys care. We're not robots. And so to prevent frustration or to prevent that, I don't necessarily think you can. I think that you can help change minds and help guys and anyone see that, yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, like, what are you learning? And I'm gonna partner with you through that. That's our way. Like, let's do this together. Let's win together, let's lose together, let's continue to move towards our ultimate goal of being really freaking good. All right, thanks everyone.